So, what happens when you're forced to confront the absolute darkest parts of yourself? Well, in Nietzsche's masterpiece, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, we get to see exactly that through two of the most fascinating characters in all of philosophy. Let's get into this tale of two shadows. This quote, man, it just perfectly sets the stage. We're about to meet two very different shadows that haunt the prophet Zarathustra. But here's the thing, they aren't just spooks in the dark. They are pieces of a self that hasn't quite come together yet. You see, these guys aren't just random encounters in the story. They're profound symbols of an internal struggle, not just Zarathustra's, but ours too. They represent all those parts of ourselves we try to ignore, the stuff we shove down deep and hope no one ever sees. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll meet the two shadows, then we'll dive into what makes them so different. We'll look at them through a psychological lens, find the one dangerous thing they have in common, and finally see how it's possible to integrate all that darkness. All right, first up, let's meet our two central figures, the shadow and the ugliest man. Now, they both kind of follow Zarathustra around, but as we're about to see, they come from completely different, well, worlds. So even though both of them are swimming in despair, their problems are worlds apart. The shadow, he's dealing with an intellectual crisis, total burnout from thinking too much and finding nothing. The ugliest man, though, his crisis is physical. It's this deep, gut-level shame about his own existence. So what's really at the root of all their darkness? This is where it gets really interesting, because the key difference is why they suffer. This really just captures the whole conflict perfectly. You have the shadow, who's stuck in this intellectual void, that hollowed-out feeling you get when you realize all the big truths are meaningless. Then you have the ugliest man who is just drowning in this visceral, almost nauseating shame. One's a crisis of the mind, the other is a crisis of the gut. Just think about the shadow for a second. Nietzsche calls him the homeless spirit. It's perfect. Imagine you're a seeker who has gone everywhere, looked behind every single curtain for meaning, and you've found absolutely nothing. It leaves you exhausted, empty, a ghost with nowhere left to go. And then you have this guy, wow, the murderer of God. His crisis wasn't about finding truth, it was about the unbearable horror of being seen. He felt so disgusting that the all-seeing eye of God felt like a constant pitying judgment. And so, in this incredible act of despair and, frankly, terrifying strength, he killed God just to escape that gaze. Okay, so let's take this a little deeper, shall we? We can look at these two figures through a couple of really powerful lenses. Nietzsche's own philosophy, of course, but also through the psychological framework of Carl Jung. This table breaks it all down beautifully. From a Jungian point of view, the shadow is Zarathustra's personal dark side, all the unacknowledged bits of his own ego. But the ugliest man, well, he represents something way, way bigger. The collective shadow of the entire human species. That raw, primitive darkness that we all share. I love this way of looking at it. Their struggles are on totally different axes. The shadow's crisis is horizontal. He's a ghost lost on a long road with no destination. But the ugliest man's crisis is vertical. It's a deep, dark abyss within himself. One is about purpose and direction. The other is about existence itself. So, on one hand, you have a personal ghost, and on the other, a collective monster. They seem like complete opposites, right? But they're not. They are connected by one crucial thread, and it represents the single greatest test Zarathustra is ever going to face. Both of these figures are basically designed to tempt Zarathustra. They exist to make him confront his biggest weakness, the one thing that could completely derail his entire philosophy of overcoming humanity. And that one thing, his last sin, is pity. For Nietzsche, pity is the most dangerous emotion. It's what drags you back down into the herd, into the mediocrity you're trying to escape. And boy, are these two figures designed to trigger it. Look, feeling sorry for the shadow is one thing, kind of like a personal weakness. But feeling pity for the ugliest man, that's an existential threat. That's pity for the weakness of the whole human race. And here's the wild twist. Nietzsche says the ugliest man is actually promising precisely because he had the strength to murder God to escape that very same feeling of being pitied. So, how does Zarathustra get past this huge temptation? He can't just ignore these guys or wish them away. He has to find a way to integrate them, to make them part of a stronger, higher version of himself. The answer lies in Nietzsche's most challenging and famous idea, the eternal recurrence. Just imagine your life, every joy, every pain, every single ugly moment, repeating itself forever and ever. The ultimate test isn't just to put up with it, it's to will it, to love your fate so much that you'd scream yes to living it all again.
This isn't about trying to fix the shadow or pretend the ugly stuff is beautiful. No, this is about radical acceptance. It means staring right into the abyss of yourself and humanity, rejecting that weakness of pity and declaring that every single part of it, the good, the bad, the repulsive, is necessary.
And when you do that, through that radical affirmation, both figures are finally integrated. The nihilistic shadow gets outshone by a brand new, brilliant purpose, and the ugliest man is transformed, not by becoming beautiful, but by finally embracing his own necessary place in the world.
And that brings us to a really powerful final question, one that goes way beyond this book. What is your ugliest truth? What's that part of yourself you keep hidden away? And do you have the strength not just to tolerate it, but to truly affirm it and make it an essential part of your own incredible story?